Simmons off to a great start. Followed by Hill. Sixers start to fill it up from beyond the arc. And quickly come the Brooklyn Nets. Getting spicy out here now. Sixers lining it up. It's good.
He's really put the team on his back.
This is a frustrating night for Brooklyn. Sixers will walk away with a victory.
Good morning. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into First Take on this Thanksgiving Eve in the holiday spirit. Some of us are very celebratory. Monica, this is a surprise having you top of the show right here. It's good to see you. Mad Dog.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, she is. Yeah, she is. You know why this is, right? You know why it is? Because she's looking at the jacket and she's like, damn, he does look really nice today. But she can't bring herself to do it. I know it's in you.
Oh, it's a nice coat.
You know what I'm saying? And I know it's in you.
Nice coat.
And that's all that matters.
I give you credit for it, Chad.
And that's all that matters. That's all.
Nice coat.
Let's rock. Let's rock.
Last night was Ben Simmons' much-anticipated return to Philadelphia after a well-documented tumultuous stint, and it did not go Brooklyn's way. The Sixers were without Joel Embiid, James Harden, and Tyrese Maxey, and beat a Brooklyn Nets team that was at full strength with the big three, 115-106. Ben Simmons at the mic.
Were you expecting it to be worse, or?
I thought it was gonna be louder. Yeah. You thought it was gonna be louder? Yeah. I think it's gonna be like this forever. I mean, I don't really see it changing. But yeah, I think it's every opportunity to go. Especially an experience like this to play in Philadelphia. I haven't played here yet, so obviously it's one step in the right direction for me.
All right, let's do this. SA, did Simmons' return to Philly live up to the hype? Everything you hoped and dreamed for?
No, actually. Number one, I was happy for him because even though he was a no-show in the fourth quarter, missing 2 free throws, scoring no points, attempting no field goals or what have you, for the most part, he played a decent game, 11 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. He can give you a few more points, but gives you that in the rebounding and assist department. I think you'd be happy with that. So he didn't fold beneath the pressure, and I give him a lot of credit for that. Handled pregame, postgame well. Taking pictures with some fans. I expected a lot more vitriol from the Philadelphia 76ers fans, to be quite honest with you. They booed the living hell out of him, no doubt about that. But it was a reason, police officers were in attendance and stuff. I was expecting some bad stuff. I really, really was. That somebody was going to try something stupid, because that's the level of venom that I see when I'm in the city of Philadelphia and I hear them talk about Ben Simmons. So in that regard, it did not live up to the hype, but also the Nets took it a long way, because that was one of the most atrocious performances I've ever seen. Let me tell you something right now. It's the worst loss by a team for this NBA season. That's number one. Number two, it really brings into question the basketball character of the Brooklyn Nets. No Joel Embiid, no James Harden, no Tyrese Maxey, and you go out there and you put on that kind of performance, and I'm looking at a Kevin Durant. You know how I feel about Kevin Durant. When healthy, the best in the world on the planet. I ain't saying that after last night. 14 shots. 14 shots. You going up against those dudes, and all you can give us is 14 shots. You're supposed to will your team. You're supposed to look at them by the third quarter and be like, what the hell's wrong with y'all? Give me the damn ball. I'm ticked off at y'all. Y'all supposed to handle this stuff. Give me the damn ball then, since you don't want to do the job. That's not what happened. And so as a result of that, I was incredibly disappointed, because I expected the Philadelphia 76ers to get the brakes beat off of them, because they didn't have their 3 top players. And the fact that they won, first of all, making it a game was news in and of itself. But to actually win the game with DeAnthony Melton and Shake Milton looking like the second coming of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, for crying out loud, I was incredibly disappointed.
Take it easy. It's an NBA regular season game in November, and you're going to make a big deal about the Nets losing to the Philadelphia 76ers, who made 16 threes in the game.
So what?
They're not going to make 16. I mean, part of those threes is that you can't prevent guys shooting a 40-footer. It goes in. What are you going to do? The big picture in the game is Simmons played well. That's the big picture in the game. He went out there. He fell on the ground. He slapped a loose ball for a layup. He had a little life. He was fighting with Niang. He had a little juice, and that's what the Nets have needed. I don't like the fourth quarter either, and I don't like the fact that the Nets in a big spot against this team. But Philadelphia, you knew they were going to be motivated to play this game last night. Simmons is in town. couple days before Thanksgiving, let's rebound without our 3 big stars. Durant, love to beat him. But to make a big deal, Stevie, about a game on November 23rd with the Nets, I mean, they lost to Sacramento last week, 153 points. They recovered from that. They beat Portland. They beat Memphis. I'm not going to make a big deal about an NBA regular season game in mid-November. Simmons is the big story.
Monica, are you with Stevie or are you with Dog?
Somewhere in the middle. I think what Doc Rivers said post-game was the most pertinent piece of the night. He said, my guys wanted to win, right? Like, they knew they were without their stars. I think we forget that there's other guys on the roster outside of the headliners. And so I think Niang, Tucker, Korkmaz, all those guys really wanted that opportunity. And the level of the resistance that the Nets put up was questionable at best. But I think it meant a lot more to the Sixers, and you could see that. Plus, to me, the Sixers are a team that are closer. They're still working through some kicks to understanding their identity as a squad. And so those role players that were starters essentially last night in terms of the minutes they played understood this is my opportunity to make sure that I can make an impact on this lineup when those guys get healthy.
Well, that's one way to look at it. Let me help you out.
Oh, please.
Because you're clearly missing it, okay?
No, I'm not. Go ahead.
I am not trying to imply that because the Nets lost this game, suddenly they're going to lose every game and they're not going to make the playoffs. I'm not trying to imply that they're not going to recover from it. But as you know, for decades of covering sports, and as you know as a participant in the world of sports, who's now doing it in the media, and you just know because you think you know everything.
Oh,
the point is,
I've only been covering sports since I was 19.
That's right.
Carry on.
And like I said,
and now that I'm 25, it's been a long time.
Yes, ma'am. The point that I'm trying to make is this. When you look at it from that, if you're looking at it from the point that you're looking at it, I get it. Here's how I'm looking at it. There are elements, and y'all know this, there are moments in a season where it tells you something about the character of your team. Ben Simmons is rolling up. The name that I have mentioned is DeMarcus Cousins. Attitude and all. The bottom line is you just need somebody that's nasty, that's a big body, that's going to throw bodies around if necessary. Because then you could take him and you could put him in the lineup with Claxton against bigger teams. Have KD playing the 3 spot with Kyrie and Ben Simmons and bring a Royce O'Neal off the bench or something like that. Of course, with Seth Curry and others. My point to you is that last night elevated the necessity of that even more. You needed somebody nasty. You needed somebody that wasn't going to sit idly by and watch you get out rebound 49 to 35 against the worst rebounding team in the NBA. Without him, that's with Embiid.
Right.
And without Embiid, okay, and listen, I like Shake Milton. I like the Anthony Melton. I like the way these brothers play. And I think that when you look at the Sixers squad, they are a formidable threat. We got to give them props. But still, basketball character matters. And the same dudes that rolled into Philly last year when they wanted to get at James Harden after the trade and blew them out of the building, it was the same dudes that didn't show up last night. Except this time, Ben Simmons did show up and played a decent game, and KD, of all people, didn't show up last night. It was very disappointing.
So let's answer the question that Woj just sort of posed here. They're trying to figure out, is it worth riding this thing the distance? I mean, if not last night, then when? Is it worth this team sticking it out for even the rest of this year?
I'm not going to give up on them because they're too multi-talented. But Woj ain't wrong. The trading deadline's in February. Woj, I'd strongly consider it. Let me see how they do over the next month. And then guess what? I'm open to moving some people. Why? Because listen, KD already asked out. He already wanted to trade. We know this is Kyrie's last season in Brooklyn. Okay, it's a failed experiment. If I get to that point, why should I lose guys well, you're not going to lose KD for nothing because you got him guaranteed for 3 years after this year. But why should I lose anybody for nothing? If I can get some, a return on my investment, I might do it.
Yeah, I think for the Nets is their size out there, and I don't think it's DeMarcus Cousins. I don't think the Nets' answers are bringing in players who are not in the league right now, and nobody else is signing. But there is depth on the wings for the Nets. I think you look at the trade deadline. If they want to strengthen this lineup, it's going to be on the front line. I think it'll be interesting, certainly, between now and February 9th.
Let me ask you this question, Woj. Is DeMarcus Cousins out of the league because he's just not good enough. I don't think that's the reason. I think that he's out because people have questions about him inside their locker room. And I saw what he said to Chris Haynes and these guys the other day in terms of trying to resurrect himself. But I'm just wondering, is that?
I mean, I think, listen, DeMarcus Cousins has gotten opportunities the last couple of years, Denver, Milwaukee, the Clippers.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised once we get into the 10-day contract area in January if there's not a job for him to come in when there's an injury somewhere with size. But I think for DeMarcus Cousins, I'm not sure that anybody's counting on him to come in and help.